As federal agencies continue to expand their use of cloud computing, they are also leveraging the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning to gain new insights into their operations and, perhaps more importantly, leverage AI and ML to deliver on their missions more effectively. Joining us to talk about some of the practical experiences and lessons of applying AI and ML are Sonny Bhagowalia, Assistant Commissioner and Chief Information Officer at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and Mike Lentine, Senior Sales Manager, Federal Civilian at Amazon Web Services Worldwide Public Sector. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And Sonny, I'd like to start with you. Where are you seeing the application of AI and ML capturing new insights about the work your agency is trying to accomplish?
Good morning, Wyatt, Mike, and again, thanks very, very much for this incredibly important opportunity to talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cloud. It's obviously a pleasure to be with you all today to participate in this important discussion about how, for example, CBP is beginning to leverage AI, ML in the cloud and data to gain insights into the operations, our 24/7 operations, and potentially reshape the ways we support mission delivery. So I think many of our use cases have been focused on operational efficiencies, automation, effectiveness, accuracy through sort of task automation or real-time data analysis and response, image or video tagging of the data, pattern recognition, and response. So there are about four use case examples that I'd like to just illustrate how we're using it. And these are not fully complete. We've got more use cases that we're doing. So what we want to talk about first is cargo screening, for example. We want to automate the identification of anomalies and norms and have an operator assist to highlight regions of interest, identify, conveyance modifications, or identify and verification of commodities, what's coming in and out of the country. As you know, we process just millions and millions of cargo, items every day into the country. So we've got to make sure they're safe and secure. I think the second thing is forced labor, got to be humane in terms of how we're looking at how the world is interacting with us. There are a couple of countries, obviously, as you know, in the news where forced labor is an issue. And so we want to make sure that whatever comes in here is done correctly. So we're using advanced analytics and machine learning coupled with commercial data sources and AI capabilities to help to identify and disrupt the importation of goods that are made in whole or in part by use of forced labor. So we can see that supply chain and make sure that people are not being used or abused in that sense. Third area is like video and image redaction. As you can well imagine, we're processing a lot of stuff coming into the country, and we want to build object detection models to automatically identify frames where we can detect an object, label the detected object, perform redaction on the frames that contain sensitive information, for example, PII, so that we can see what we want to see in aggregate or something specific without making sure we're also maintaining the privacy and security of all the subjects around, so to speak. So that's very important. Fourth area is just a very specific object identification. So we're using computer vision software to automatically detect and track after-hours activities, provide real-time alerts to operators, increase effectiveness of, for example, existing surveillance platforms, and decrease cognitive load on personnel. So AI is the assist to the operator. Human is the control. So human is has always got control, and our agents and officers always have that. So I think that's our view of the world in terms of how we can, for example, these four use cases. But the CBP's use of AIs is not just about greater mission operational outcomes, but also enhancing the safety and abilities of our staff. So, for example, we are looking at the lethality of illegal drugs, such as fentanyl. It's at unprecedented level. We have stopped, in CBP alone, 23,000 pounds in FY23 of fentanyl coming into the country. 2.2 pounds of fentanyl can hurt up to 500,000 people if you take a look at that in some way or form, depending on, other, I guess, precursors and other factors. But this is according to the BA. So my point to you is AI can help us limit and remove the amount of human exposure to keep our personnel safe, but also the American people safe. Because, our mission is to protect the American people, safeguard our borders, and enhance the nation's prosperity. So I think from that standpoint, that's one example. So illegal drugs. Another area that we're using is significant staff resources are spent on routine tasks and repetitive tasks. So we've used robotic process automation, but now with AI, ML, and some of those capabilities, we can reduce the amount of times sort of that humans have to spend to perform these tasks that they're inherently good at, which is critical thinking and human intuition that humans are good at. And some repetitive, mundane tasks can be, given to a machine and some intelligent software. Lastly, I think AI machine learning also gives us great value in assisting humans with time-intensive activities. So if there are large computational elements such as sifting through vast amounts of data, we can let AI/ML do that, and then the human can use intuition and training and learning and knowledge to combine that, and then I think we've been very successful using this modeling and some of these capabilities and achieving our mission.
That's an impressive roster of activities. Let me follow up by asking, how are those insights that you're gleaning from that work likely to reshape how your agency might approach its efforts in support of its mission?
Yeah, so there are, I think, four things that to come to mind. First, we got to rethink how our organization will operate differently, from resource allocation to education of AI to greater data exploitation. I think that's first, so rethink. Second is, I think, how do we use our resources more it provides us more flexibility. How do we can use our resources? We can optimize allocation of resources for operations or during a crisis because the assist is there. We can dedicate experienced personnel on deeper analysis, interactions, and activities, and some of the folks not as, experienced in some areas to do some of the other tasks. It takes a team, right? It takes all of us, so not everyone has to be the superstar. The third, or an expert in a particular subject matter expert in a particular area. Third, I think the growing priority of training teams and staff how to use AI responsibly to support the mission is an area that we are working on. We need to build out career pathways and training opportunities for personnel that are interested in using AI. This is a new area, by the way. We are absolutely new frontiers here. No one has sort of a quick answer on that. We have an AI strategy that we're crafting. Obviously, we have certain policies and we have quite a few projects underway, but we are being somewhat careful and making sure that we're doing it the right way. I think lastly, we're able to exploit this exponentially growing data at CBP that we have to manage. We have 10 billion sort of transactions every day that we track on in our area, about 50 billion data exchanges, 172 petabytes of information flow through our network every day. So there's a lot of stuff growing. And then with this advent of data, we need to make sure that our infrastructure and processes are scalable to collect, aggregate, process, analyze, and act on this data faster than ever before. Data plus context equals information, and information plus experience equals knowledge. And then there's wisdom. I don't know where I'm on that part of the equation, but on that continuum, we're all seeking that, right? And you want that information so that the officer and other people know, look at this container on the fourth thing and there, then we can act on that. But that's data plus context, and the experience becomes that knowledge that we need. So that's the continuum that we're on.
Outstanding. Mike, let me bring you in. And from your vantage point, how will the application of AI and ML likely capture the kind of new insights that Sonny is mentioning, both as you see it directly at CBP, but also how might those insights transform the approach in support of the mission at other agencies?
Thanks, Wyatt, and thanks, Sonny. Really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the discussion today. We see this in two major categories. First, CBP and other customers have massive data. Insights are embedded in the data, but difficult to identify with traditional approaches. AI/ML unlocks access to these insights in a repeatable, cost-effective, resulting in a more secure and efficient operations. Second would be officer and agent safety and efficiency. For example, an officer or an agent at port of entry reviewing security scanner images today uses years of experience to evaluate each image. We can take those years of human experience, create AI/ML models with labeled data, and share that knowledge across all ports of entry. This increases the number of shipments per day and increases the probability of detecting potential violations. And then finally, from a security and operational insights, from AI ML helping CBP to go deeper into identifying potential violations. Imagine that officer at the port no longer looking at images, but instead evaluating trends, reviewing dashboards, and investigating any variations. Combining AI ML technology with experienced human review creates highly accurate approaches to keeping citizens safe.
So, Sonny, I'd like to double back to you and let's talk a little bit about what are some of the early challenges that you've encountered in trying to leverage AI and ML, and what are examples of measures that you're considering to address some of those challenges now?
Yeah, there are at least three categories of challenges, and I look at challenges as opportunities. But we're doing some measures right now. But when you're on the front line and we are on an agile process, we work very quickly at the speed of mission. So I have to be at 24/7 and at the speed of mission and at enterprise scale. So some of the operations here are like a couple of Fortune 20 companies in one, sort of running at that scale. So I'll just say at least three challenges, and I'll give you a fourth as a bonus that I worry about, and that's why I got all gray hair now. The first one is data accessibility and scalable infrastructure. This stuff is going to be a hog, just put it in the vernacular. You got to not only have the data, but you got to scale this infrastructure. It is going to require a lot of networking and compute to kind of make that happen. So there's a tendency across the government to compile or house data in silos across the organizations. We call them silos of excellence. And it creates challenges for AI algorithms to easily access the data across their program. We are trying to change that, of course, by making sure that the indexing of that information, and of course, we are already, by the way, 73% of 277 apps in the cloud. I think we're one of the largest and probably the furthest in civilian agencies to kind of make that happen. So I've been working really hard to kind of go towards that goal. But nevertheless, we don't have a central warehouse or things like that, and probably don't need it. But we just these silos across, we just have to make sure we can link stuff together properly. And so I think that's one. And then through our chief data officer and the AI Center of Innovation that I've set up under the chief technology officer working for me, we're implementing processes and building a scalable infrastructure along with the deputy CIO for infrastructure and the deputy CIO for software and application services, so that we can leverage the data inside and outside our organization and support development, testing, and deployment of models into production. I have 240 agile teams that develop software every 2 weeks and deliver capabilities out. So we are concurrently moving at that speed, and people want capabilities, right? But we have to also build in security into this. So that's one thing. Second thing is responsible governance, implementation of responsible AI. This is an area where I think everyone's struggling. So I applaud the White House, the recent AI policy that's coming out, and also through DHS, it came out yesterday that we're looking at. Our components are trying to leverage AI to not just passively, so we can leverage, it's not just passively done, rather that we have the due diligence and the respect. The technology of this caliber, requires a lot more thought. I am obviously a degreed engineer, and after all this bachelor's and master's engineering and 38 years and another master's in management, I learned more on the street than all the other stuff that I learned in college, right? And the street knowledge is that, hey, you gotta really understand that mission drives technology, and more importantly, you gotta have due diligence in making sure that we're always doing the right thing. It feels right, and sometimes it doesn't feel right? So I think we should be driven by the values of the organization, understanding how it ultimately impacts human beings. And I think I would just say CBP is a very humane organization in terms of what we deal with and the amount that we deal with. I've never seen in my 38 years, an agency deal with so many challenges concurrently, which are historical levels. And yet we still, in America, still treat people humanely, and how even encounters at border or other things, in given everything that we do. But overall, I think not that only uniting for Ukraine and Operation Allies Welcome, the Afghanistan airlift, everything here we are processing and concurrently, and we have done that. But we should be very cognizant of the fact that we have to have responsible AI. So I think that's really a very important thing to us, and do it the right way. So we're building a responsible AI framework so that mission teams as well as the technologists understand how we can use AI from use case definition to collection, the monitoring for bias. We have a lot of oversight groups that check that and make sure it's improved over time with human-centric operation feedback loop. I'm also interested in, we're looking at this right now, is having views where other people can be in this governance group, including some contrarian views, so that we can make sure that we're doing the right thing and be transparent and accountable. Third area of challenge is cultivating talent. And as I mentioned before, the AI talent is limited. This is a new area and a very powerful area. And so, you require, and there's some new capabilities being offered by a lot of, including Amazon and others. And so I think people should take advantage of this. The resource pool is very competitive, which means organizations need to be creative how to build this expertise and attract that, right? So unfortunately, CBP is not a 40-hour-a-week kind of organization, but it's incredibly, should we say, satisfying in terms of the mission that we do. And it's just, that's why people work here. It's top-notch agency and just top-notch people, but it's because we care. And we're supporting the development of AI practitioners and subject matter experts. So we're creating this AI Center of Innovation, the hybrid on the internet and collaboration. We had an AI day. We had 1,800 people come to that. We've had practitioners so that people are new. And the idea is to help. We teach everyone how to fish. So this is another key point, right? It's not the CIO's office has the expertise. The expertise is available to everyone, practitioners, so that we build how they can use the data for use cases. So we're interested in this building of knowledge. The knowledge portal never happened, right? And why all those people tried knowledge portal and it was centralized somewhere else. I think we're trying to build this organically where the knowledge comes from there, and we cite those examples in a repository, and everyone can then build from each other. We teach others how to fish. So I think this is part of my approach as a CIO, is making it good for others. So we're creating awareness for this. And like I said, on the AI Day, 1,800 participants really shows that we are doing that, and we are giving more examples and featuring their use cases. And that's really important. And finally, we're expanding our trusted partnerships. We have 5 levels of trusted partnerships within CBP, within 20 offices, within all of DHS and the components, within all the government agencies, within about 98 to 100 countries, and about 60,000 trade partners, and so on and so forth. So I think we're doing that. And we're also looking at, leveraging in industry, academia, other government agencies for training expertise, like an acquisition approach like this, the non-intrusive inspection. Currently, we're doing this acquisition at the moment, where we are asking other people to come in, use AI/ML, and look at how we can better look at, cargo and other things coming into the country. And so this allows us to have competitive thinking coming into CBP. So sorry, this is an exciting topic, but that's what I'm looking for. And always listen to the voice in your head, right? It's always like, all this is good, but don't get mesmerized by the light. Don't get mesmerized by the shiny object or technology. Always look for the human side of how this affects people. And I think if you look at that, that's why, we have this other ability as humans to do that. And I think the balance of those two things is what we're trying to do here.
Well, you make a great point. This is far beyond just a technical competency, but really the importance of how do we empower and enable the workforce and those that they come in contact with the American public. Mike, let me get your thoughts on this. You work with a lot of agencies, and they have different challenges. What do you anticipate some of those early challenges are likely to look like as they try to really leverage and build on AI and ML? And what measures should they consider to address those challenges?
Yeah, we've observed some key challenges that go along with Sonny's points. First, it's critical that new capabilities are simple for officers and agencies to use, right? And don't disrupt their usual processes. This is critical because valuable solutions may not be adopted if they don't fit into established processes. Another challenge arises because there are many competing AI ML technologies and approaches. CBP and their partners must carefully evaluate and select the best and most cost-effective long-term solutions. At AWS, we're really proud to work closely with CBP to support their cloud and AI ML solutions. And it's something we really are proud to sit here and talk about today.
Sonny, as we kind of wrap up here, how has the cloud facilitated your efforts to use and manage AI and ML to specifically improve your mission? And how do you see those efforts evolving in the future?
Yeah, so this is, like I said, been in 7 agencies across these 38 years, and also been in industry in a Fortune 20 company at the time. Now it's a Fortune, I think it's become Fortune 30, but anyway, Boeing was a Fortune 20 back in the day. But I will say that in my 38 years, you have to crystallize things down to what really matters at the end. Are you going to make things better? So I've brought it down to 4 items. Is the mission getting done faster, better, more affordably, and more securely? So those are 4 mission outcomes that I'm looking at. So I think cloud and also how we manage AI, ML, those are the 4. As I mentioned first, in cloud, we are already at 73% of 277. We are 3 months ahead of schedule and 3% exceeding our target already. And I'll wait for next month to give you some better news to even what we've done, right? But now comes the hard part. The last 25% or whatever, 27% is going to be hard because they're high value assets, and we're trying to get all this done. If we get the funding, big caveat, to get it done by calendar year 2025, and which would be like massive. We have a tier 4 data center, and that would all be there. So I think, let's say better. Number 1, better. Cloud employs, CBP employs cloud technology so that we can do shared resources, standardization of infrastructure, storage, processing, which is critical to AI. So that's very key. I can then start processing AI in the cloud much, much better. We're leveraging a cloud environments to build end-to-end ML platform solutions with the reliability, scalability, and security for enterprise-grade solutions. So we have created like standardized development libraries and resources for software. We have promoted collaboration and sharing of best practices across the organization. We can seamlessly use collaboration tools, and people can immediately get on various calls and participate. We can provide repeatability for model development, training and deployment processes. So we're seeing that. We also put up a site there. We can see what the AI Center of Innovation site is, and people can then see the use cases and search for it. And AI/ML will also improve the search. So you can probably talk to it just like Star Trek at some point. We can integrate into existing infrastructure such as a CI/CD pipeline and logging support. So this is better. So it's better for sure. Okay. And better also means more reliable, meaning we are not having any outages. So things are working and now it's available. Better also means more capacity, right? AI/ML will require more compute and all that. So I think the spinning up all the resources would be a good thing. Faster. We have on-demand high-performance compute available. So there's minimal setup time for the new teams. We can have common access controls, roles, and personas. Easily integrate AI services like data annotation, very key. So data annotation and all is going to be very important. So faster. Those 240 teams can develop things faster and put those capabilities out there faster for the mission, depending on what the needs are. In Operation Allies Welcome, we were deploying stuff to mobile facial recognition assets and other capabilities through software within a couple of days or days. So that's unheard of. But we were doing it because of the urgency of the mission and how people react together. Just imagine if we bring AI, ML, and cloud, and mobility, and some of that passion that we have for the mission all together, right? That's when things really take off, the confluence of all those things. Third is more affordable, but I'll put a question mark on that. Cloud has never been, when I was there with Vivek, when Vivek started this whole thing, right? So that. And Vivek started this whole thing in 2009 as the federal CIO. I used to be Department of CIO at Interior. And my night job was, he came up with this thing called cloud. I was like, what is that? It's really interesting. I said, I didn't know you were into meteorology, but he said, no, I'm into this cloud thing for computing. And I thought like, wow. And so we helped out. And then eventually, I went to a GSA before taking the state of Hawaii CIO job. But since then, just imagine how cloud has progressed across time. So he was far ahead of his time. And now the adoption is much higher. But it was never meant to be cheaper. It was meant to be more affordable. Your pay-as-you-go utility model is lower, but your total cost of ownership may be higher or same. But the difference is you got the mission done. So what is the opportunity cost of that, right? But on the other hand of it, also data has increased. We've got high definition data as well, high definition video. So there's more happening and more high quality of that stuff happening. So I think AI/ML, in my humble opinion, would require a lot of data, computing, networking, and processing. This is a challenge for pay-as-you-go utility cost making models. And so the outlay may be lower, but the total cost of ownership may be same or higher. So I think the return on investment and cost benefit analysis would not be lower cost, but faster, better mission support, thereby requiring new measures. So this is my thing on it. I'd love to get some more thought discussion on this. So I would just put a question mark on the affordable, saying that it is definitely the pay outlay is lower, but I think the total cost, I'm not sure if is definitely not lower, but I think also the world has changed. I think the fourth area also is more secure, and I'll put a small question mark on this one, but I think we're more secure because we have checked everything, not only data at rest encryption, but also data in cloud. Folks like Amazon or others take it very, very seriously, and their competitors also taking it seriously. But our adversaries are increasing their number of attempts at us as well. We get 100 million attempts on us every day. So it has grown by 225% in the last 4 or 5 years that I've been here. So we are successfully blocking that. But man, it is very hard to play against adversaries who play with no laws and nothing. And we got to play by all the rules and do it the right way. So in my humble opinion, AI/ML is both a boon and a bane due to the sheer power of its groundbreaking capabilities. So cloud is also proven to be more boon than bane, in my view. But the persistence and the lifecycle management of data and information in the cloud is a smaller concern because it's still being considered and understood because we're doing data rest encryption, session encryption, data leakage protection, data tagging, and also we're in the government are doing a lot of stuff also into the dark web and checking and following up and basically calling people out and tagging them and also prosecuting them, I guess. But I think my point is AI/ML can challenge our lifecycle management data in the cloud, and we got to do more just to trust but verify that indeed that's what we're doing. And I think at the end of the day, what it means for users is just that the business analyst will see more visual interface, ready to prepare data, train a model, and generate predictions, and with a point and click or a voice. The data scientist can have a mechanism for access required for data sources like experimentation or model development and training and tuning and validation. AI engineers will be able to deploy and manage models at scale through pipelines and automated workflows. Mission operators who are not technical will be able to just monitor the performance of resulting model and work with technologies that adjust parameters, like fentanyl. We have a dog plus a canine, plus we have a model, plus we have the agent intuition and training, plus we have other data intelligence, and then all that comes together, it can boom, you can adjust. And by the way, our the cartels also are adjusting, right? The adversaries are also adjusting. So I think overall, all of this there, and I've got to throw in some CX in there. That's for bonus there, Wyatt. All of this where the employee experience, the user experience, and a better CX, customer experience, is also required. So I think business process, reengineering, and all of that stuff is still alive. And I think all of these things will be a boon for the users in the end.
Well, I think some really thoughtful examples of really how that integrates into operations, and appreciate your mentioning all the ways it serves your constituents, but also customer experience. Mike, as we wrap up here, just talk to us a little about how else have you seen cloud computing facilitate the efforts of organizations like CBP to really deploy and leverage AI and ML to improve on their mission? And as we kind of look into the future, where are we going with all that?
We've seen cloud help CBP and other customers get AI ML value in the following areas. First, cloud supports much faster experimentation with multiple AI ML approaches than traditional on-premise infrastructure. Second would be cloud provides robust edge services deployed in field sites, including remote sites with limited connectivity. So DHS can build an integrated solution and deploy common AI ML models anywhere. And finally, cloud solutions are scalable, so capabilities aren't limited by future growth with built-in tiered storage for cost-effective data retention over time. So in closing, AWS has helped CBP and other federal agencies adopt cloud and AI ML technologies to advance their missions. It truly is all about the frontline personnel and giving them the tools needed to do their job effectively. We really encourage all agencies to learn more about how these approaches could help them and add powerful mission capabilities.
Yeah, This is really great, by the way, and I just want to just echo one point, if I may, that echo the point about partnerships. When we are in this thing together, it's really taking all of us together to work together and solve these problems. And so we can learn from each other. Obviously, some great companies providing some great services to us, and I'll just say, AWS has been doing really well with us, and so. Certainly, I certainly appreciate your time and attention today, and thank you for your continued interest in U.S. Customs and Border Protection as we do this mission of 24/7 mission of protecting the American people, safeguarding our borders, and enhancing the nation's economic prosperity. My job as CIO here is to provide information to authorized users anywhere, anytime, on any authorized device at the speed of the 24/7 mission, faster, better, more affordably, and more securely. And I hope you have a great day. And today, just for full disclosure, you're talking to a human. I am a human, and I'm not an AI/ML generative AI. So thank you very much.
Well, Sonny Bhagowalia and Mike Lentine were both of you really demonstrated tremendous insights, and really appreciate some of the practical examples and advice that you've given on AI and ML and the power of cloud behind that. So thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.